Yo, how's it going? We got steak. Okay, and guess what? It tastes great. It's good for you. If it's grown here in America, that would be great. Okay, so if somebody could consolidate all the cattlemen's associations, here's what's happening. People are eating steak, but we don't know where it's coming from. So you got like JBS. There's like 3 meat packers, and like all the pork's controlled by China, right? So then we got the chicken. So you got so beef would be the easiest one. Everybody I know has got beef. They also have a truck and a trailer to get the cows to market. What if they didn't have to go to market? What if they just went to the slaughterhouse? Well, some do, but these are on backlog. A lot of people want to get their meat processed and everything, but there's no there's no availability. Like, you got to schedule it and all this kind of stuff. So if the slaughterhouse was franchised, right? And the Cattlemen's Association and everything like that was franchised, right? So you got this, you go to the rancher, say, hey, instead of taking it to the feedlot, take it over here to Jimmy's. And you've been working with Jimmy, and you know who Jimmy is. And Jimmy's been running this slaughterhouse, and then he's got this packaged meat. He's got a little storefront in the front where, you know, my neighbor's got a cow, and then I show up, pick it up from the butcher, right? So everything's handled ahead of time type of deal. And the reason they do it that way is because government regulations or whatever like that, versus what Walmart and all of them do to bring this foreign beef and then say it's USDA select, and that shit's from Brazil. Who knows how it's raised or whatever, right? Okay, we're vulnerable. Say war breaks out, no more supply chain. Where are we getting our cows from? Who's processing it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in steps a patriot. You know what I mean? To apply appropriate upper management. You could go by regions or whatever else like that, and run the numbers on it. Get an analyst to run the numbers. How many people's buying? Like, dude, everybody in Fort Worth, Texas, if they had a place that was certified farm to table, like, you could just take your cows right over here, they process it. Here's our processing place, and then just like a mile up the road where it don't smell like shit, there's like a storefront, and you can just walk in there and buy guaranteed American grown, and you can have like grass raised, grass finished, and then grass raised and grain finished, because that actually tastes better. Everybody's mad about the grain, but you know what I mean. Like, well, what happens is these big old places, the farmer's taking it to the market, and then this guy's buying it up. So they got control of the price that the rancher's getting for his beef. Okay? So fuck them. Cut out the middleman. And then now you put the investment in to bring this slaughterhouse up to scale to where he can have a store in town. Another storefront in a big city, whatever. I did, like, for the people that want to come out of town or whatever, when you're purchasing the land, get enough that you can build a little strip mall, like, we'll say 5 acres on the, you know, close to a 2-lane highway. You know what I mean? We're like, you got to drive for a while on the 2-lane, and you're like chilling with your wife, and then like you get some beef that's sure enough good, and you know that cow lived right over there. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, man, Andy Frisella knows all this stuff about this corporate size ventures and fundraising and all this kind of stuff. So I was thinking about the GETTERDUNN Son Corporation, right? And then you know, the carnivore diet or wherever else like that. You know, a lot of people eat beef. It's real popular. Okay, now you can call the store the Carnivore, a division of GETTERDUNN Son Incorporated. And then on the meat, on the package, you put all your information on there and everything, and you could stamp it with the Andy Frisella, with the AF. You know what I mean? So it's like, American as fuck beef. You know what I mean? And then that become the new USDA mark of excellence. And then now, since you're driving out here to where the cows eat the grass, it makes it exclusive, right? So there's like all these angles to work towards a storefront that's just beef. And yeah, and then and you could do just start there, keep it simple, right? But keep in mind the 5 acre deal. So now later you can expand and do chicken front, and then do like a mercantile, you know what I mean, where you can buy some hay or whatever like that, and the little armload of wood. So now the guy and his woman, they're like, it's a Friday, you know what I mean, and they're like, hey, you want to go out there to get her done? And they're like, hey babe, let's go get her done. See how good that sounds? So they go out there, you know what I mean, you got your storefront. Here's at first you start off with the Carnivore, right? And then as you expand your building, it could be just like a very inexpensive building, right? The expense is the slaughterhouse. So you find the guy that's already slaughtered cows, right? But he don't have enough freezer space. So you just invest in his freezer space to make him a franchise of, GETTERDUNN Slaughterhouse. You know what I mean? And so you could be a GETTERDUNN farm or whatever. Anyways, so your corporation's GETTERDUNN, and then you could have Carnivore, and you could do all your meats underneath that. And then you could come correct with boots. What else does a person need? They need boots, they need clothes, they need medical supplies, all this kind of stuff. So you got these people like Jocko with the Origin boots, like Bear with the medical supplies and stuff like that, and then stuff that's made, sourced, and financed in America. Or what, I don't know why I keep saying finance. I guess because it takes money to do stuff, right? But I mean, like the real estate side of it, like 5 acres. You just drive down some 2-lane road and like there's a field. Like just drive down through there till you see something, and like if you were pulling into that field, the background looks Betty Crocker. You know what I mean? Just like, that's nice, or whatever. And they talk to whatever and say, hey man, I want to put this here or whatever like that. I need some parking lot here. We're just going to do this right here with this farm or whatever. And then you send your salesman out to like. The whole thing's already set up. It's just sitting there waiting for somebody to organize it, right? So you got like your Cattlemen's Association, right? And then like you got your local sale barn and all that kind of stuff like that. So like all these dudes are already doing this. They're doing all the work and then giving money to these big packers, and then they're cutting the wages and bringing it low. Whatever the meat's going for, blah, blah. Dude, I could go buy a steak at Walmart for $25, and I could buy the same cut, everything exactly the same from my neighbor's cow, and it comes out to like $13 a pound. So if you're just the same price as Walmart, that's $6 you can make off every steak. It's just sitting right there, right? So the margins are there. It's exclusive. It's for the up and comers. You know what I mean? It's for the Cracker Barrel guy, and doing that as a launch point. Figure that out with the cattle, because here's the dude, here's the market. They got the equipment. They're already doing it right now. The herd in America is low, so everybody's trying to up their herd. So now's a perfect time to go about this, right? So by the end of the year, if you map out a region, like where are cows growing, right? They're everywhere. I drive around the whole country. They're freaking everywhere. So find the places where the people are, by God Baptist and, well, just Christian. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to find. It's not hard to find. You know what I mean? But that shared religion is a big deal. It's a very, very critical component of what I'm saying, because it brings an extra edge to the market. It brings an extra edge. Like, we don't have to, thump a Bible at you and beat you up and, all kind of, aggressive, whatever with the Bible stuff. You know what I mean? But just like, they are of faith or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them don't want to talk about it like that. But if you press them, it doesn't take very much for them to admit the straight of it. So they're down to Jesus. That's a certain mentality. The morals and ethics of Jesus are unmatched in the earth. It is the best, right? And then we're bringing the best product, and we want to bring this in a way that is the best, that's over and above what anybody can do anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? And who's better at that than Andy Frisella? And then, like, the coaching stuff and all this kind of stuff like that. So if this regional setup, like say you do like 5 in places that will work or whatever, work the kinks out of it and get it set up where, to whatever the region will handle. There's got to be, you can buy the data on who's buying beef and how much they're spending in each region. I'm pretty sure you can do that. If you got a little bit of money, you can do I was looking at a deal today. Like, I could call this company and pay them some money, and they'll tell me what the license plate reader will of any city in the United States. Like, the data's there. You see what I'm saying? So you can analyze this data. A good dude set to task, a small team of 8, put to task on this thing, could probably have you a working business model and how to take over the United States beef industry with American beef. So now we got American ranchers and stuff like that or whatever, You might be able to get this business plan together and approach Donald Trump. You can do this. You can do this. I'm not even kidding you. You get this business plan together or whatever like that. You go to Donald Trump and say, hey, let's make American beef again. And talk to this dude, show him what you're going to do and how you're going to spend your money doing it, and be like, give me a tax break on this deal or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, make it happen, grease the wheels, whatever like that type of deal. Like I said, you guys you're a lot more fancy than I am. I'm just an idea guy, you know what I mean? Am I going to do this? No. If I had millions of dollars in connection, like, if I had the money that Taylor Swift had, you know what I mean? I would take over the beef industry in the United States. I guarantee you that. With $100 million. With $100 million. I'll tell you what. It's what I do for you. You give me $100 million, I'll take over the beef industry in the United States. It's going to take a while, sure. Sure, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's right there for the taking. Like, you don't need me. Like, you already know more about it than I do. Like, the first thing I would do if I had the money to do it is go to somebody like Andy Frisella. Well, probably I'd probably start out. I'd go to. If somebody drops me $100 million, they're like, Skip, take over the beef industry in the United States. Third. Probably tell a fart joke, and then I'd go to. I'd be like, Jesus loves you. Read that Bible. Acts chapter 7. That's your pro tip, Acts chapter 7. Anyway, I'd probably go to Spyro and everything, and I'd sit down with the old bear. I'd be like, this is what I'm thinking about. What do you think? Tell me what I don't know. There's this, there's that. What regulations are stopping? How in the hell is somebody... 2 brothers from Brazil have cornered this market, and they're telling every rancher how much they're going to give them for their cows. You know what I mean? At market. And then they're quadrupling the price by the time I buy it at the store. Or are you even close to serious right now? I'm serious right now. I can cut their throat and double the price that the rancher's getting on his beef. Using the brand new reputation of Andy Frisella. Real AF beef. Beefy AF stamp. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then having the corporation, GETTERDUNN SON, and then this section's carnivore. That's where we take over the beef. And then later we'll expand as we take over the chicken and reopen all them chicken plants and stuff like that. And use automation instead of slave labor from Guatemala and they're getting arthritis and everything like that. You know what I mean? All this stuff is very doable. It's very, very doable. My problem is everything I think of is on a scale that's global because I'm geared to take over the earth. That's like my mission. That's what I do. I'm not a present this to the camera kind of guy, even though I'm presenting this to a camera right now because, like, you know, why ain't y'all already done this? Whoever y'all is, I don't know. But I feel personally responsible to make sure that my great-grandkids have a steak to eat. Or at least make sure that some dude in Brazil can't pull the plug on the slaughterhouse and we can't get no food. You know what I mean? He who controls the food controls the population. I've heard something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I think this is totally doable. I think there's the Cattlemen's Association is a great way to start. I think it, you know, we need somebody to analyze and figure out the regions, you know what I mean? And then what each region will support. Who's the local slaughterhouse already? What does it take to buy into him? Be like, hey, we're going to give you equipment. You know what I mean? You could hire some people and then, like, you know, when you go to the rancher, he already knows the guy. He's already got the truck and trailer and everything, so he can take it there. So all you need then is like a box truck that's refrigerated to go from the packing place, the slaughter and packing, all in one spot, by the way, slaughter and packing. You want to take that to the back side of the field where it don't stink up the store, right? Because the shit stinks. Then you got your little storefront or wherever like that, you know what I mean? But it have that big enough to where you could do all American stuff. You know what I mean? Think Buc-ee's, but not bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you a great example. And I'll do a video on this one day. But you need to look at the industrial park in Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, because it makes a lot of the stuff that we need. It's fantastic. We need to start building some Jeeps over there. The old school Willis, where we can all take it apart, put it back together, and 4-cylinder diesel motor, all mechanical, EMP proof. I've made a video or two about that. But then we also you need to go out to literally the mercantile. They got this little thing for hay and stuff over there. You walk in, there's a little bit of this and that or whatever like that. There's some food that you can eat in the back. And then directly to the right is like some wholesale goods for farm and ranch. And then freaking firearms. You know what I mean? Like about everything legal. That if it's crossed your mind and you're like, is that legal? Where can I get one of them? Pegs, Oklahoma, at the mercantile. I'm telling you, man, everything's already there. Everything's already there. You know what I mean? Roof the whole stinking thing with solar panels. Instead of, when you're building this building, instead of putting the roof on, frame it for solar, and then just put the panels up as the actual roof. Like, what is turning the water and the snow and the weather is actually the panels. You don't have to frame it, deck it, underlay it, roofing. It's pretty close to the cost of a tile roof, for real. And is there cheaper ways to do it? Sure. Are you getting free electricity any other way? No. So, you know, the whole roof of this thing, then cord, and then, like, you know, let them people coming from town plug in their car, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? You got some guy with this foo-foo old lady. They drive out of town. Oh, look at the country, this and that. They turn it off the highway They see the little stream. There's like a mountainous, scene, just kind of, rolling hills, and there's grass. There's a couple cows out there, just like the pretty ones. You know what I mean? That way they can pull in there. Well, maybe not the cows if you're selling steaks. May or may not want cows out there. You don't want to, you don't want to play with your dinner. Anyways, this guy pulls in his Tesla, plugs it in. You got the solar panels up there where they can see them or whatever on the same angle with the sun, based on your latitude, longitude, which also is perfect for shedding snow. Anyway, yeah, this would work, and all the people that's doing the work's already there. So now you do a 6-week butcher class at the local high school, and now Billy with the deer processing plant or whatever else like that, you know what I mean? He's got a small cold locker or whatever, and I got to schedule something for my cow 13 months in advance. And in that 13 months, there's thousands of cows going to the feedlot to make the Brazilian guy money, while the rancher's sweating how he's going to make ends meet. They just make a standard price. What's wrong with the trucking industry, and what's wrong with the beef is the foreign investment and stuff. So when we get back to the natives, you know what I mean? That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Is if you're second, third generation rancher, and if you're part of the Cattlemen's Association, you own land. I mean, like, it's not. Everything's already there. It's all there. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up because it's way too long. All right, Rock Hill, get her done.